I definitely at one point was afraid that things would never improve. I was afraid that I would kind of always have this rocky relationship with people who I was related to. And this isn't the case at all. I have really been blessed with the opportunity to kind of see this evolution and this growth in terms of my own evolution and growth, in allowing that to happen and allowing myself to be more tolerant and to be more understanding and respectful, but then also seeing that in my family and them really like putting that effort, putting their best foot forward as well, and like respecting my boundaries. And I think that the key to really just making sure that that relationship can become strong or doesn't fall apart, I guess, is communication and patience, and really trying to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Because one big thing that I think makes family relationships sometimes difficult to navigate is this difference in generations, this generational gap that presents all of these obstacles and these challenges. Because obviously if you are Gen Z or a millennial and your parent is much older, maybe they're baby boomer generation or Gen X, whatever it might be, that can make it very difficult to navigate, because there are so many differences from generation to generation. And I mean, the hope always is that each generation is becoming a little bit more progressive, is breaking cycles of, just in stigma, and kind of each generation is just becoming more and more open-minded. But sometimes that's not the case, and sometimes there is work that needs to be done. And also sometimes I think that it's important to just kind of be happy with what you have and be grateful with what you have, and think, how can I adapt to this situation to make myself happy, but also to make others around me happy and feel comfortable and loved. And I bring that up because there was a point in my life where I was trying to change the people in my life. Like, I really felt as though they had to live by the values and the moral code that I lived by. I felt kind of like betrayed if they didn't, and I also felt as though they had to understand me on a deep level and connect with me emotionally on a deep level. But what I've learned in my 24 years of life, and most of these lessons I've learned really in the last few years in my adulthood, is that it's our job as the younger generation, it's our job as the children of our parents, as the grandchildren of our grandparents, to adapt to the changes, to adapt to our elders and to respect our elders, because they have done so much for us. And that's not to say that, we owe them everything or whatever, like, not to really get to a place of guilt, because I don't think that's fair and I don't think that's right. But it's just to kind of like acknowledge that when thinking about our parents or grandparents, they've spent the majority of their lives with a certain mindset. And as they continue to age, and of course we're continuing to age as well, but their brains are not as, I guess, neuroplastic as ours are. And they're just less likely to want to change than we are. It's maybe more difficult for them to adapt because they've spent so long living a certain way. And there might be other factors as well, like it could be a cultural thing that kind of inhibits their ability to like adapt, okay? Or it could be religious reasons, whatever it might be. But I do think that taking that initiative to just say, hey, I'm going to be the one to find a way to make this relationship work. I'm going to be the one to adapt to my loved ones so that I can have a peaceful relationship, that I can create harmony, as long as it doesn't come at a cost to you and your authentic expression. I think it's actually so valuable to take this approach, and I found that it's led to peace, not only inner peace for myself and just like not feeling this constant need to change those around me, but also just a good feeling. It's brought out like clearly a good feeling in those around me and my loved ones, and there's more trust that has been established, and there's more communication. And also just, I think the biggest part of it is that there's less chatter in my mind about it should be this way or it should be this way or whatever. I think that for the most part, everyone is doing their best. And of course, there are cases where people cannot have relationships with their family. And I also support, not doing that if that's what you need to do for your well-being. I think it's most important to be able to express yourself authentically, to be yourself, to just be in an environment that is first and foremost safe and comfortable. But yeah, I think I'd love to hear from you and how your relationship has evolved with family members, with loved ones, or maybe even chosen family. I think chosen family is such a beautiful thing, and at one point in my life I really relied on my chosen family. I have close ones, I have close friends that, like genuinely their life was changed by people who took them in, or that kind of thing. So I think chosen family, as well as your biological family, is so beautiful and so amazing. And if you need support, don't hesitate to reach out to someone. Sometimes family dynamics can be complicated, and I definitely just kind of fell into this trap growing up of like looking at other families and thinking that they were perfect, or seeing families on TV and thinking, oh, I just wish that was the dynamic I grew up with. But the truth is that no family is perfect, and if they pretend, or if they claim they are, they're probably pretending. And there's a lot of dark stuff that goes on behind closed doors. So take what you hear and what you see with a grain of salt. Appreciate who you have, because we do have a limited time with the people that we love. And unfortunately, most of us don't realize that until we lose someone, or, God forbid we lose someone. But until something happens that is really life altering and brings up a lot of grief, a lot of people struggle to be grateful for what they have. And I've definitely been guilty of this before. It wasn't until I went through a really devastating loss in my family that my life was shaken upside down, and I actually had to reevaluate my entire life and career path. So yeah, take a moment every day to be grateful for who you have. And if you can, if there is a relationship that you'd like to work on, if you're able to, start working on it today. Don't wait until the last moment when it's too late. Sometimes we just have to set our pride aside and spend time with the ones we love, because trust me, it's the best thing that you can do for yourself and for your loved ones. And you won't ever regret doing that, but you might regret not trying, and God forbid something happens, that's going to be really painful, and that's going to be something that you're never going to be able to change, okay, or do over. So I hope this message, I didn't mean to like get kind of super dark at the end, but it's really just like something I think about, and in the moments where I was really like in that pride, like ego of it, and thinking that I, couldn't like make it work with loved ones, I wish I had someone to like tell me this stuff, and as much as like I have content on my channel where I do talk about how it was hard for me growing up, I also want to put out content like this where I'm talking about how my relationship with family has evolved, and I am very, very happy and grateful. And so I hope that if you're struggling with something like this, or whatever it might be, I hope you're not, but this kind of resonates with you and helps you, because you're never alone and you will be okay. Everything will be okay, and I love you so, so much. I know even when things, seem impossible and like they can't be resolved, I promise you things will be okay. Give it time, be patient, do your best, and love yourself. So yeah, that's all for this video. If you enjoyed, like the video, subscribe to the channel for more spirituality and self-mastery content, and I will see you in the next video.